My name is Hitan Sanpal. I'm here pitching Rise Robotics. At Rise Robotics, we're enabling the electrification of heavy machinery. This is our traction till date. We've raised a total of $9.1 million. Actually, we've generated a total of $9.1 million in revenues. That's a combination of product sales and joint development funds. We have over 20 patents, and we've raised $22 million till date. And that does not include the $2.5 million that we've raised through crowdfunding till date. We have partnerships with several companies, and we are backed by the engine, which was built by MIT. 3 of the co-founders of the company went to MIT, so they have a relationship there. And then, of course, we're a Techstars incubated company. And one of the key investors on our cap table is Gates Corporation, which is a supplier of one of our components. The problem we're solving is that heavy machinery is outdated, inefficient, dirty, and dangerous. Specifically, certainly there's a huge cost to burning diesel, but on top of that, 88% of the diesel fuel, the energy in the diesel fuel, doesn't end up as useful work. Only 12% of it ends up as useful work. Part of that is the inefficiency of the diesel engine itself, but then the other part of it is the inefficiency of the hydraulic system. And of course, because the systems are so inefficient and they use hydrocarbons, we end up generating 500 million tons of carbon dioxide every year from heavy machinery that's using hydraulics and powered by diesel engines. And on top of that, and this is in some ways worse because you can think about ways to mitigate carbon dioxide, we actually end up, when using heavy machinery, leaking 100 million gallons into the ground, and hydraulic oil is hazardous and should really not be mixing with groundwater. So what we've done at Rise Robotics is solve this problem with a new technology that we call BELTless. We've taken the oil out of hydraulics and we replaced it with belts and pulleys. And because we're intentional about the energy that we're delivering, unlike hydraulic fluid, which you're pushing in all directions and trying to get it through hoses and small valves, because we're very intentional about the energy we're delivering, we can build a system that is much, much faster. In fact, the systems that we build can run up to 3 times as fast. They're 3 times as efficient. Of course, because we don't have fluids on the inside, they're 20% lighter. And we save so much energy that at the system level, we're half the operating cost. As I mentioned, we're 100% fluid-free, which means the maintenance is very low, and we're 100% digital. It's a lot easier to control motors and belts than it is to control fluids. And being 100% digital means that we can build digital twins of our system, which make this technology available for autonomy and for teleoperation. Our system is also very powerful. We used it to build the world's strongest robotic arm. We actually got into the Guinness book in the first week of March. The team was really excited. We had a little bit of a ceremony. We had some Guinness beer, some Irish music. It was a lot of fun. Our focus initially is in the belt-rolling components market. That's a $44 billion market. What we're trying to do is take existing hydraulic components and convert them into belt-rolling components. In addition, we're entering the liftgate market with our own liftgate so that we can sell our technology directly to end customers and get feedback. And of course, anything we do with our liftgates business will end up creating more demand for our belt-rolling components business. After that, we intend to tackle forklifts and then work our way through all of the verticals of specialty machines, which are roughly $500 billion. The original co-founders are still with the company. We have a diverse set of experiences. I myself spent a fair bit of time at iRobot, where teams that I led generated $2 billion in revenue and shipped over 9 million units, and that's what I'm trying to get done at Rise Robotics. This is our roadmap. We're already in production selling product to the Department of Defense. That's our common lifting device, and you can find more information about that on our website. As I mentioned, the next thing we're launching in the second half of this year are components, the belt-rolling liftgate. We also are on contract with the Department of Defense on this device that's called the material handling unit, which is used to lower armaments into planes. That was the device that I described as the world's strongest robotic arm. And then after that, we'd like to target forklifts. The liftgate product that I mentioned, because it operates twice as fast as a standard liftgate, has a 6-month ROI, because most food and beverage companies will end up saving half an hour on every route because our liftgate is so much faster than a hydraulic liftgate. And that translates into an additional stop, which is worth between $300 to $1,200 per day per liftgate. So that's why it has an amazing ROI. Of course, it has the maintenance benefits that I already described. But the thing that really gets me excited, as I mentioned, because you can use our system to build digital twins very easily, I can see our systems being used in machines that are used for teleoperations and eventually autonomy. The digital twin is a critical component of building an AI system. You need the machine learning model, and it has to drive the system, but it needs to know where the system is, and we give you all of those inputs to describe that. And finally, this category that I really like that I call perpetual unloading machines. You've heard of perpetual motion machines. Those things don't exist. But because we're so efficient, we're 75% efficient, anytime we lower something, we actually get half the energy we put into raising it back into the batteries. So if we're lowering something that's even slightly heavier than the end effector that's moving up and down, we're actually generating energy. So you imagine us unloading a container ship and unloading these heavy containers. We're constantly charging the battery every time we unload, which means the size of the battery can be minuscule, which means that electrification becomes very easy for these systems, because what's keeping electrification from happening is the size of the batteries, which is driven by the inefficiencies of the hydraulic system, which of course can't regenerate energy. Our goal is to hit 130 million in revenues in 5 years. Most of that is going to happen from our liftgate, but we also have government contracts and components baked into the mix there. What we really like looking at this space is there are many companies that have made substantial amounts of money and sold for high values when they have made substantial transformations in their industries. And what we're doing is something completely new. We're completely transforming hydraulics, which is used across many sectors: forestry, agriculture, transportation, maritime, defense, you name it, there are hydraulic systems in there. And so companies like Tesla and John Deere, they're doing this transformation already. For example, John Deere is already doing this for agricultural machinery. Their valuation is very, very high because of that. And also companies making linear actuators have sold at high valuations to players like Ultra and Rockwell Automation that are acquiring companies on a regular basis. That is it for Rise Robotics.